Hello, welcome to the Roundhouse podcast with Paul Sulentrop of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your time. Our guest today is Michael Winslow. Michael is a senior golfer at Wichita State, and he is enjoying a fabulous summer. Michael won the Kansas Amateur on July 21st in Topeka, so he will play in the U.S. Amateur Championship in Minnesota in mid-August. It will be his second time playing in the U.S. Amateur. Then on Sunday, he won the Kansas City Amateur at the golf club at Creekmore. In June, he made it to the semifinals of the Missouri Amateur at the St. Joseph Country Club. Michael last spring wrapped it up for the Shockers by tying for fourth in the AAC Championship. That helped the Shockers finish third, its best finish as a conference member. So, Michael, why such a hot streak? Why are you having such a great summer?
It's been awesome. I think really, honestly, I'm in just really good momentum state mentally and physically. It's been just a lot of fun, and I'm taking it step by step and just, enjoying the moment, being present and not focusing on what's to come, just more of what's in the very moment. And it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, starting back at the AAC, that's kind of started the momentum, and then playing well. I played well at the Watson Challenge in Kansas City, finished seventh there, and then it's just kind of step by step, and then winning the Kansas Am, really, I think, breaking through and getting a win. It's been, I think it's been about 6 years since I've won like a bigger event, and just kind of breaking through there. And then, yesterday I won Kansas City Am. I think just breaking through and, showing to myself I can do it again and whatnot has been really beneficial. So, it's just been a blast.
Take us back to your mindset on the June 1st, start of the summer. How much are you focused on, boy, I really want to win tournaments? And how much are you focused on, I want to improve a particular part of the game? What's the blend of that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think for myself is I can get kind of stuck in thinking of analytically when it comes to golf and whatnot. And I've kind of learned from the past of when I start thinking too much like that on the tee box or in the range or whatnot about my swing or little things, it kind of gets crept into my game and where I'm thinking about that on the course. And so I have to do a good balance of just moving on between that and thinking, all right, this is the tee box, this is the course. We think about kind of different things in that sense. And so I think when I came to June 1st, I'd say around that time, really what I was thinking about was obviously, every single tournament I play, I'm striving to win. And there's no reason to play if you're not going to play to win. But I'd say my game was in a good spot, and I had some really good rounds, but I also had some a little bit of adversity throughout the season. But I think the biggest thing was I just took those good opportunities and, the bad ones too, and learned from it and used it to my advantage to obviously now Kansas Am having a lot of momentum into that was huge to really just playing well. I'd say just maybe win that too. I had a little bit of chip on my shoulder too from the previous year, but I think the biggest thing was just the balance of taking care of business on the range and taking care of business on the course and, using that to my benefit for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned winning, which in golf, I guess golf and track, you can perform really, really well and finish third or fourth.
Yeah.
What is that mindset or what's the thought on, all right, finishing third would be great, but winning is what I'm here to do? What's that little step in between to finish off?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, it's a hard thing to understand. It's like, you want to be proud of yourself. You finish in the top 5 and, that's a really solid week or whatnot. You beat majority of the field, 90% of the field or more. But there's a very big, it's kind of a smaller step to the first, but it's a big step. It's more mentally, I think, is who's mentally able to win those events or whatnot. Is like there is some barriers in that sense. It's like, some guys they play really well but haven't broken through. And I think that was the biggest thing is I kind of had a mental barrier on myself of like, I know I can do this, but I've just been struggling in that sense of getting over the hump a little bit. And I think really after that, once I proved it to myself again, I think that was very monumental for myself. But I think it all starts back in early or mid-May at AAC, just proving to myself that I can play well in these higher events and whatnot in conference. And, I've played well in a lot of big events throughout my career, but, that was one that really set the tone for what the year's going to be. And just, I used a lot of what I'm using then now, and I've changed some stuff, but I mean, that's the thing is the golf, you can have three different things, that work, and then one thing doesn't work. And you kind of have to rotate things in and out mentally, and usually more physically, it's kind of stays the same, but really mental is what I've been focusing on all year, honestly.
So you mentioned the chip on your shoulder from last year, so we should probably explain that. So you finished as a runner-up last year. Your teammate at Wichita State, Zach Sokolowski, won it. How did that inform your summer? How did those experiences help you get to where you are now?
I think, that definitely played a huge role last summer. Obviously, coming up short, just to Zach at Kansas Am, but also in the Missouri Am, was in the finals last year twice. Definitely played to my advantage this year in that sense. I mean, I ended up playing Zach in the semifinals again. We had a rematch this year in the Kansas Am, and obviously it's tough when you're playing a good friend of yours, but you have a really big. He wants to win, I want to win, but I mean, I think just using that to my advantage, learning from what I did last year. I mean, I think I got really frustrated more with myself last year, and when I hit little bad shots, or it wasn't how I wanted to hit it or whatnot, I got easily frustrated with myself. And I think learning from that and just staying calm all throughout the week or throughout the round, everyone's going to hit bad shots. I mean, that's golf, but, and you can say minimize them and whatnot, but I think really how I minimized them for myself was just letting it go, putting the club back in the bag and moving on is the biggest thing you can do. And I think that's what I used very well from Kansas Am and all summer, honestly. That's the biggest thing is, so.
So you defeated Zach in the semifinals of the Kansas Amateur. You defeated Will King, a University of Kansas golfer, in the final. Put that in perspective for people. How significant is it to see your name on that list of Kansas Amateur champions?
I mean, it's huge. There's a lot of good players on there. I mean, obviously, I know Will very well too in the finals. I mean, we work out together multiple times a week. So I mean, and I've known him since I was a kid. So I mean, we're very close, and those are always. I was just saying, those are hard matches to play when you are good buddies with them. But I'd say the biggest thing. I mean, Gary Woodland's on the Kansas Am. He's won. There's multiple big players throughout Kansas that have won the Kansas Am. And, it's an honor to be the 114th champion. But I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, it's a second to none experience to win your home state, a championship. And I mean, I'm looking forward to what's to come in the future from that and whatnot. So, I mean, hopefully use this to my advantage for the future years in my career.
Yeah, there's a lot of who's of Kansas golfers. You mentioned.
I mean, there's so many. You can keep naming them left and right.
Yeah, Matt Gogol, and a lot of Shocker connections. Greer Jones won it. Al Littleton, former Shocker coach, former Shocker player, won it. And then pretty recently, Zach, Hunter Sparks, Corey Noviscone, going back a little bit farther. So there's several Wichita State people that would be there. Are you a golf history fan? I would think that, it'd be nice to think in 15 years, I can look at this list and there's my name. I can show my kids. Do those kind of things, are they important to you?
Yeah, 100%. I think biggest thing about golf is the history behind the game, is you have all these greats that have come before you, and you strive to be one of those greats down the road. And I think one of the biggest things is being from Kansas City. I mean, you have Tom Watson is one of the greatest of all time, 8-time major champion, fantastic career. I mean, awesome guy. I get to see him every now and then and pick his brain, which is awesome. But I mean, those are the type of people you play after. Tom set a great example for golf in Kansas City and the Midwest area and even around the world. And I think he's been a very good influence on me personally. And, maybe I don't know him well enough, but he's definitely a role model for myself. And I think those are the type of people I strive to be like myself. So it's definitely, history is definitely a huge thing to me. I love looking, like, before the week of the Kansas Am, I'm looking at who won in 1908 or whatever, I don't know these people obviously, but, it's always cool to look at, I've never heard of them, but, they're on the same trophy as I am, it's just cool. It's cool to look at, now and even before, and the big names and whatnot. So
Jim Colbert, another one. That
Jim
was
Colbert.
big,
Yep. There's a lot of big PGA Tour winners on it. So
yeah.
I'm headed in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, that's a nice piece of the golfing resume. So you will head to Hazeltine in August. So your second U.S. Amateur. How will that experience help you going to that?
I mean, yeah, 2022 was a very big learning experience for me at Ridgewood when I played in the USAM last. It plays like a major. It plays like the U.S. Open in a sense to those conditions. So I know what to expect in that and how to prepare in that sense. And then also it's a mental. Whoever's mentally there is going to play well. I mean, you got to be so sharp between the ears, back to where you can't get frustrated with yourself. I mean, it's a long week. Obviously, you got 2 days of stroke play. You need to play well in that. I think the field's 312 guys, cut to 64 guys, and then match play. But the kind of the mindset is go play well in stroke play, be one of the 64 guys, and it's anyone's game really. I mean, it doesn't matter what seed you are. Obviously, maybe some guys are playing better than others, but it's match play. That's the fun thing is, people are always worried about the 64 seed. So I mean, I think using 2022 to my advantage is a big part of it. And preparing myself for that and knowing what to expect. I think 2022, I got a little stuck in the sense of where, I'm in a big stage and kind of thought about it more in that than this is just a tournament and let's go play our game. So I think using that to my advantage is me big.
Hazeltine has quite a prominent history. It's hosted the U.S. Open, Ryder Cup, and we'll have another Ryder Cup coming down the road. A lot of other prominent tournaments. How do you prepare for a course like that?
I mean, you kind of expect. I mean, obviously, the rough's gonna be long, so you got to practice that around the greens, chipping wise. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, you gotta expect you're gonna have fast greens, firm greens. You gotta be really distance controlled on your wedges when you get wedges. I mean, really, I think the biggest thing that I learned was you got to hit driver well. You got to be in the fairway. So I think really preparing off the tee is big. And then just the little short game shots. And really, the biggest thing is what Coach Easterling will tell me is what Greer would tell him is a 5 is always better than a 6, and a 6 is always better than a 7. So you got to always, if you're out of position, get back into position and take your medicine. It's kind of one of those things that the USAM is. If you're out of position, hit it back into the fairway, hit it on the green. You got to putt for par. You make par, but you 2-putt it, you're 5, move on, and you got opportunities down the road. And so, there's 2 courses. Chaska Town course is the other place for stroke play. So I know Hazeltine will be the harder one. And what I've heard about the other courses is a little bit easier. So, I mean, take care of business at Hazeltine and then play well at Chaska. I mean, should set you up for match play. So it'll be good.
Who will caddy for you?
That's a great question. I'm up in the air about it. I think my dad might for me. He caddied for me the Kansas Am, and he's caddied for me for, my whole life. There's a good chance he is. And then I have I'm one of my trainers here at town, possibly could as well. But I gotta figure out if he can push the clubs or not for USAM or not. If he's allowed to, then I guarantee he will be my caddy. So, yeah.
Yeah, describe the role of a caddy. How important is it in that kind of a tournament?
I think it's huge. I mean, you got to have caddy's a huge thing. I think is it keeps you in balance in your game. I mean, keeps you calm. Takes care of the little things like grabbing something out of your bag to eat. Cleaning clubs, reading putts. I mean, I'm more of a less is more kind of guy in a sense of like, if I have a really difficult shot, I'm going to bring my caddy in and we're going to talk it through or whatnot. But I think I've always liked to just kind of play my game and, chat with my caddy, keeps me calm. I'm more of one that, is easier. I think I'm easy to caddy for, I'd say, than it's, someone that's more, you got to do this, and that, And so, but that's the difference between players, that's just kind of how I operate. And I've learned a lot from past experiences of what caddies have brung and, good things and bad things. So, yeah, I'd say there's a lot to it. I mean, usually you want to have a good person you can talk to and you're comfortable with, and hit bad shots, you don't feel embarrassed in front of somebody or something like that, and I know there's a lot of experience I've had with that in a sense. So because you're a team, obviously the caddy's rooting for you, and you want, that's the biggest thing, is you have to understand you're a team at the end of the day. And you don't blame the caddy for something you did. I mean, and they'll always say, "Oh, that was my fault." No, it's always the player's fault, So that's what you got to learn. And the chemistry is there with me and my dad, and he knows my game better than pretty much anyone else than myself, I'd say. And so I think if that comes to be, it's gonna be a really good week, I think.
You come from a big golfing family, your dad, brother, sister, a lot of college golfers. Were your galleries significant in the Kansas Amateur, and then over the weekend, did you have a lot of family and friends following you?
Yeah, for sure. My parent, obviously my dad was caddying, my mom came out. A lot of close family friends came out. It was funny though. Will and I have a lot of mutuals, so a lot of them came out that are, you don't know who they're rooting for, but it's a win-win for them either way. But a lot of close friends, my girlfriend and her parents came out, so that was really fun. Because I knew that they'd probably only come out for the championship, so I made sure to get there, so they came out. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love all the support I've gotten these last few weeks, and it's really fun to see the closest people in my life come and support me. So it's been a lot of fun.
And Michael is from Overland Park, from the Kansas City area, attended St. Thomas Aquinas High School, so we should probably mention that. Yeah, take us to Sunday. You finished up in the Kansas City Amateur, shot a final round 64, birdied 3 of the first 4 holes, and then added an eagle to that. Take us through the start of your Sunday, and I guess that carried you through.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Yesterday, obviously played very well. Saturday, I had a little bit of a rough day, 6 over par, and I played well the first day, 4 under. So I was actually 8 shots back to start Sunday. And I knew that I woke up yesterday and was in my head, I was like, I think if I got to 8 under on the day today, or 6 under total for the tournament, would be, there's a chance. And I just kind of let everything go. I was in a good mental state even after a poor round on Saturday, and knew what I needed to do and came out rolling. I mean, I hit it to 3 feet on the first hole for a tap in, made a nice putt on hole 3 for birdie. Hole 4, I hit it to about a foot for birdie, and then 5, I eagled and hit it to, 4 or 5 feet for eagle. So I mean, I was 500 through 5, and I'm like, oh, okay, now we're rolling. This is what we're talking about, and ended up closing out the front 9 at 7 under, shooting 29, which was that's some of the best golf you can play out there. I mean, I had guys come up to me, he's like, were you playing the same course today? I don't know what's going on, But yeah, and then I shot 1 under on a back shoot, 8 total, made a really nice putt on the last hole for birdie, about 10 feet from the hole. And I saw when I got up to scoring that I had a 2-shot lead, and was like, and it was windy. I mean, I knew 8 under was me tough out there, but I just stayed so mentally in it. I've got a really good mental routine right now, and I knew there's gonna be some hard holes coming down the stretch that I knew weren't going to be very scoreable. But yeah, it was such an awesome day. I tell you what, I mean, that's probably will go down as my best tournament round of golf in my career, I'd say. I mean, 8 under in the wind and coming back from 8 shots back to win by 2. I mean, that's a pretty good story, I'd say. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and just happy to have my parents out there watching me. And yeah.
What is Saturday night like? Is it hard to go to sleep, or have you developed, I guess this goes to the mental things you talked about, you're able to put it behind you quickly?
Mm-hmm.
You shot a
I'd say,
78 on Saturday. I guess we'll give people the context on that. So you started out with a 68 on Friday, then the 78 on Saturday. So what's Saturday night like for a golfer?
I it kind of sounds like an excuse in a sense, but on Saturday I woke up and I wasn't really feeling physically great. I think partially was it Kansas Am was the week before. It's a long week and was kind of mentally and physically drained. And I really started off poorly for front nine and played really bad. And I got to the back nine and had some electrolytes, and it woke me up. And I was like, honestly, I think the biggest thing right now is I'm dehydrated. So I started pounding water and electrolytes and whatnot, and that kind of changed my mood. And I finished well, and I figured out some stuff with my driver actually on the back nine too that I felt more confident with. And I got to Saturday and I really rested well, hydrated, and I actually laid in my bed for like 4 hours on Saturday night before I went to bed because I was so tired. But I think that rest was big for me, and just kind of letting it go, like just kind of distracting myself from what happened. And I know what my game's been so well. I've been playing really well, and kind of just throwing it away, and kind of shrug my shoulders, say, hey, today maybe wasn't my day, but I know what I can do, and my game's there. And so slept on that and woke up on Sunday and hit the ground running.
Staying hydrated, always
Yeah,
good advice.
that's the big thing, is now that I know that feeling, if I feel that again, I know what to do to get that to go away. So I think that's the part of golf is learning, or in life, I guess too, is learning what you need and don't need. And so that's the biggest thing I take away from this week as well.
So let's take a step back, talk some more big picture stuff. Describe your progress here over the last, I guess, 3+ years at Wichita State. When do you feel like things really began to lock in, and you were feeling really good about your game?
I'd say, I've kind of struggled the first 2 years here at Wichita. I mean, I played pretty much every single event, but I never broke through where I wanted to be. And I'd say I'd give it into probably this last year, my junior year. I mean, I had an okay fall, but I just kind of had some mental problems or whatnot with my game. And that's what the thing is, golf is really the biggest thing is mental. But I mean, there's a lot of physical stuff to it, but I mean, I'd say 90% of golf is mental. And so I started off well in the spring at Cancun and finished fifth. And I'd say that's kind of where, it proved to me that, I had a good mindset that week. I was having fun, and that was the biggest thing. I wasn't really I was enjoying playing, but I wasn't enjoying the result of playing and whatnot. And I think the biggest thing from that was just the excitement and the joy to taste it again. And I played a really good golf in the summer and whatnot, but I've been really wanting to play well for Wichita State and myself. And, and so just doing that in Cancun, I thought was a big thing. And I dealt with some illness in the spring, but to finish it off at the AAC was, I think, big too for myself. And I'd say I learned a lot from those previous years in freshman and sophomore year of, routine based. I was in discipline. I'd say, it's hard when you go to college. It's a whole new different thing. And, you have your parents taking care of you in high school and before that, and so when you're on your own, it's a little bit different. You kind of get a little bit lazy sometimes when you're playing golf and doing school and not taking care of your body as well as you want to. And I think that was the biggest thing that I learned from those years, was taking that into this year of junior year. Was my routines were definitely a lot better, and in that sense of just day to day of practice and whatnot. But so I know I can use that to my advantage this year too, and kind of tweak them, make them better. But I think that's the biggest thing is you got to have, in golf too, is you got to have a good personal life. If your personal life has a lot of problems with it, it can affect your game a lot. So I think that's kind of what my issue was my freshman and sophomore year. Was I just wasn't being my best off the golf course too. And fine tuning that into this year, it's going to be, I think, very beneficial for me.
What's the favorite course you've played as a Wichita State golfer?
Oh man, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, I'd say conditions wise, probably conference this year at a Pelican Golf Club. Um, that place is so good. I mean, they've had. I know they haven't had any like huge events, but they had a Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, and Jordan Spieth match out there. I mean, that place is there's not a blade of grass out of place. But I'd say the most fun golf course we played. I mean, I think it's really fun to play out of the country. I mean, Cancun was really tough, but it was a fun one to play, I thought. So, um, yeah, I'd say one of those two for sure.
You will play at Hazeltine, which would be one
Mhm.
of I would assume that would be a bucket list
Oh yeah,
kind of course for a lot of golfers. Is there, what's the one golf course you want to play before you hang it up or before you die?
probably my two would either be Cypress Point or Augusta National. Those are the two for me. I've always wanted to play Cypress, and I've always wanted to play the Masters. So, um, yeah, and that's if you're playing Augusta National, the good things are happening. So, yeah, I'd say those are bucket list for me for sure.
Those would be good ones.
Hmm.
Advice for a youngster, a
Hmm.
7 year old who's out there, or a 10-year old picking up golf for the first time. What's the best way to get into this sport and learn it?
I think I've got a lot of stories about that. I think it definitely the biggest thing is having friends in the game. At the start, I think having friends is a big thing because as a kid, you always kind of like, what's my best friend doing or, and whatnot. But I think that's the biggest thing is going out with a friend to start with. But also, I'd say if your dad, like if you have a dad that's into golf or, wants you to learn or is interested in playing, I think that's a great way of starting to play the game is having father son time out there is it's a huge thing. And you'll look back at it and at later in life and be like those are some of the most cherished moments. Obviously, a 7 year old doesn't, someone younger doesn't appreciate it as much now because consciously we're different as we grow up. But I grew up with obviously in a golfing family. My siblings are my sister's 8 years older than me. My brother's 10 years older than me. So kind of was the baby just around them and my dad was a golf coach or a teaching professional. So I mean, obviously, I was around the game a lot, but I mean, there was days where I'd be like crying and like, I'm not going to the golf course. I don't want to do this. And my dad might have been like, no, we're going. And I get out there and he gets me a soda and makes it fun for me. And I think just doing something out there where you make it fun for your kid or just having a blast out there. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. It's just hit whacking balls. It's a bunch of fun. That's what I was doing, whacking balls, and my sister would get so mad at me when I'd putt with her because I just whack the putt and it'd go in the hole, and she's like, he doesn't even try. So I mean, like, it's stuff like that you know the I look back on these stories now, even and it's some of the most fun I had playing golf was just even starting out, and so I think having a friend where you can even do that with him or she it doesn't matter, it can be a girl too, but yeah, just have fun and who knows what can happen. It doesn't matter if you're going to be the greatest of all time or it's a lifetime long game, and that's you can look back at it and for that.
Definitely. Okay, that person now maybe they're a freshman or a sophomore in high
Mhm.
school. They're thinking about college golf. What's
Yeah.
your advice on, all right, I got academics may be important. I
Mhm.
need to pick a place to study. I need to pick a place to play golf. What did you learn going through it? What advice would you give someone in that position?
I'd say the biggest thing that I took away from college recruiting in high school would probably have to be that I was looking at a place to, obviously my aspirations are to play professional golf down the road after school, and so I looked for a place that was going to prepare me for that. That's a big thing. I mean, academics are huge. To get a good degree, people that are caring about your academics as well is a big thing. I think the approach to college golf itself is, what do you want to do with it? Are you wanting to use it to go to school, or are you trying to prepare yourself for 4 years to go play professional golf? I think it's kind of a thing you need to start thinking about in high school or whatnot when you're being recruited or whatnot. But, it was weird for me. I definitely say a different path with COVID and everything like that. Thankfully that's all past now. It's a little bit more normal for kids nowadays. But, just being so transparent with coaches is big, like emailing a lot and updating them. Schedule's big, just keeping them, with a routine of up-to-date stuff in your life. Or it doesn't even matter about tournaments and stuff. Just be like, I'm working with this coach, or working out now with this, and I feel really good with my body. And, I did well in school this semester. It's just little things. They want to know about your life too. That's the thing is, you're not just recruiting a player, you're recruiting a family as well. And I think that's the biggest thing is you want to share the little things about your life. And, it can be weird conversations at first, or hard conversations because you're young with a coach, but, getting comfortable with a coach is the biggest thing. So I think communication is the biggest thing in that sense too.
Michael Winslow, senior at Wichita State. He recently added his name to the list of Shockers who won the Kansas Amateur, so he will play for a second time in the U.S. Amateur Championship. That is August 12th through the 18th at Hazeltine in Chaska, Minnesota. Michael, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Hi, this is Rick Muma, president of Wichita State University. Check out the latest episode of the Forward Together podcast. Each episode, I sit down with different guests from Shocker Nation to celebrate the vision and mission of Wichita State University. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for listening to the Roundhouse podcast, courtesy of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. We encourage you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find more Roundhouse content at GoShockers.com.
It's over. It is over. Ladies and gentlemen, say it slowly and savor it. Wichita State is going to the Final Four for the first time in 48 years.
Unbelievable. What a scene, folks. The Shocker fans are just going crazy in the stands.
Just maybe the greatest win in the history of Wichita State basketball.